Los Angeles wildfires magnify California's insurance crisis as homeowners face billions
Dang.
in losses. Analysts estimate the insured losses in Pacific Palisades alone could approach 10 billion, squeezing insurance companies at a time when some have been pulling back policies. And if you know with the insurance, some insurance has been pulling out of California, and with that, what happens when your house burned down and you don't have any insurance?
Right.
And so it's rough. It's rough, and it's still going on now. But let's just get into it because as we're building wealth for ourselves, these are things we got to think about, whether you live in California or you don't. But now I just have you really thinking about things that maybe you hadn't thought about before. Maybe it's hurricanes, and does your city cover it because maybe hurricane is the exclusions, or
Mm,
maybe they don't cover that part of it, or maybe they don't cover earthquakes, or like making sure you're reading the fine print because when something actually happens, will it cover your home? Because when it comes to homes, it's a significant cost, right? The wind-driven wildfires burning out of control in Los Angeles area couldn't have emerged at a more perilous moment for California homeowners as officials try to rehab what they conceded is a deepening insurance crisis. We were all thinking 2025 is going to be the year insurers regain their appetite for the market in California. But having this catastrophic hit us right out of the gate is really unfortunate, said the Amy Back, the executive director of United Policyholders, a California-based nonprofit consumer group. The State Department of Insurance issued a new regulation last month meant to turn the tide of some of the largest insurance companies refusing to take on new customers in California or decisions not to renew policies of current ones.
wow.
I'm just scrolling down, seeing if there's anything else of significance to mention here.
Man, it's just it's really unfortunate.
Let me see. So that's just some pictures. Some homeowners are going naked without insurance in states where it's too expensive. Sheesh. That's an article there. Property loss there. I'm just scrolling down, seeing if there's anything else to cover. Yeah, let's talk about that, man. I'm gonna stop sharing, make us bring us back. But as I was reading that, just touching some of the high points on the article, sure it's a much deeper, broader conversation. You're talking about the state legislation, all of that going on, then the federal and like where that going on. You probably heard Trump call out Gavin Newsom and say he should be fired immediately. And to be honest with you, it's not that I disagree with Trump, but to be honest, right now, when you done lost your home, you don't care about none of that, the political point back and forth, and you need answer because you are in a state of emergency. You don't care about none of that right now, you know.
Yeah, no, that's real. I think that's a good point. Like I was thinking about this. You mentioned hurricanes. This reminds me of Katrina in the sense
Yeah.
of yes, the immediate impact of the storm itself, but also just the crisis and just how long it took to recover. Like people getting bused to different areas to live at. Like, could you
Yeah, I remember that.
imagine? That's crazy. And so I'm thinking about like the situation was made. It was very real to me in the sense that I know someone who they're from California and they were fortunate their home they were one of their home survived and they know people who didn't. And so people
Right.
reached out to them and said, "Hey, can we stay with y'all? Like we ain't got nowhere else to
Mm.
go. Our house is burnt." And so, they say yeah. And so just like I don't know, this is real. Like I said, it makes you think about, like you said, how can you prepare for, I guess, the most likely crisis in your area. Being from Gulfport, Mississippi, we definitely, I mean, it's almost yearly guaranteed some type of hurricane to happen. And I think, I don't know, it's a lot to be said about the insurance system. I, I think that I don't know. I don't even want to offer my thoughts too much on that because I don't know what they'll do. It ain't gonna change too much. But in terms of insurance, I don't even because I'm not a homeowner. I haven't bought a home. I know you have, so maybe you can break this down to me. I'm thinking about it like car insurance. Like it's mandatory. Like you know what I'm saying. Like I can't drive my car without that, or else I'm getting locked up. So I'm like, how can they allow people to not have insurance on their home? That's that's 5 times the value of your car, 10 times, 20 times.
Yeah.
I don't see how that how that I don't want to say we should probably shouldn't have insurance companies for homes, but I'm not trying to I don't want to get canceled or I don't know, I don't want big brother to look at me wrong, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't like the idea of I'm relying on this company to save me and they can just in the blink they've said no, we're not gonna save y'all this year if something happens. That's not. I don't think that's a coincidence that they would cut the coverage like that. That's
I know that okay, I'm reading in between the lines of what you're saying.
it's a dirty game, and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to say it. But
So think about this. So I'm always thinking about it from the money perspective. Where my mind went was imagine you took part in a home ownership, the American dream. You worked hard, you purchased maybe you're like 70, right? 70 years old, maybe you have a net worth about 3 or 4 million, but most of it is in the home that you purchased, and maybe like 2 or 3 of that is in the home that you purchased. You got to think,
mhm.
this is California. Those homes are those homes are expensive. Even the most modest home could be $1 million. So, and that's why I'm using an example of someone that may have gotten in like way, maybe they purchased their home in the 90s, or maybe they purchased it in the 80s, and that has been their home, and just over time they've still been there, and maybe they've done some renovations or what have you, but the value grew. So, and let's
Right,
just say they were contributing to a 401k as well. So because most people have their wealth in their home and typically in their 401ks. So a combination of those two, imagine being 70 and like I said, you have a net worth of $4 million, but the majority of that is tied up in your home and your 401k. And imagine having it paid off. Well, that money was trapped in your home. I mean, because if you were fully free and clear, for example, and you didn't have any insurance on it, let's say before the storms, before the fires, you could actually tap that equity, or if you're looking at, or if you're retiring and you're
mm,
like, okay, I'm running into some cash flow issues, or hey, maybe we don't have enough for retirement, whatever the case may be, and you decide to sell that home. Well, when you sell the home, you would get, let's just say it's valued at $3 million, obviously after cost and all that. I'm not here to do the math on that, but let's just say you walk away with 2.5, 2.25, whatever. That's money that you're walking away with, plus whatever you may have in retirement. Now, with a burned down house, no insurance, what do you do? And if you are able to sell it, companies come in and sell, other folks come in and buy it, if you were, because you're like, I can't rebuild this. I don't even have any cash. Like, I don't cash. My network was more on paper or in equity, but now I can't even tap that equity from the home because now it's burnt down. So imagine being in that scenario. Like, what do you do? You've
right.
worked your whole life to build up that net worth, and now it's just like, what do I do? So that's where my mind went. That's where my mind went with it, and yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate.
I guess I just for our viewers, I'm just wondering. So if you can't rely on the insurance company, just shift it to the individuals. What can we do to protect our homes? What can we do? Because I just, I think of Ramsey, like, man, I think that the idea of once you got a home paid off, you clear, you good. I'm sure some of them had homes, like you said, paid off and clear. They like, okay, we good. We ain't got to really worry about much else. Now they got to worry again. So how do I prevent myself from having? Let's talk about that aspect. What do you think?
If you don't have insurance coverage, I could be so wrong, and I'm learning on this journey. Maybe uh, it's a question I'm for sure going to pose to an expert. But in my head, if I have a free and clear property, but I'm unable to get insurance, I don't know if I feel comfortable having all my. I'm not sure I feel comfortable having that cash sitting in the
Mm,
property.
okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know if I feel comfortable having that cash sitting in there.
And
If
so
I
this
can't,
like this,
if the insurance company have said we're not going to cover it, we're not going to cover your home because then if something happens, sure I can go and pull from brokerage accounts and all of that to repair to make sure the value is where it needs to be if I wanted to sell. But okay, then I do that, then something else happens. I'm as the article said naked, like I'm naked and my cash is just dead in there. I would definitely adjust my strategy for sure. As long as the insurance coverage and I have some leverage there of coverage and protection, and I'm open to exploring other things, but that's where my mind was going. I'm like, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that cash just sitting there in the property, so to speak, in terms of equity, and I can't get insurance coverage. That just doesn't make sense in my head. But I
right?
could be looking at it wrong. But
And
that's just
this
my initial thoughts.
right, and I want to like preface because of course we saying this in the context we understand that it's easier said than done, especially if you happen to do it reverse when you had insurance, but then it got dropped, and now it's like
That's
now you like okay, now my kids in school and all that. Well, let me just
yeah,
wait
yeah.
until they. But now you messed around and it's not that's anybody's fault, but it's like you don't know when a fire cane is gonna strike, but this is crazy, and so I just I can just I feel for the people that's going through this, and it makes me think that I can see people wanting to not stay in California. Like I can see people like them experiencing like a mass exodus because of something like this. Because why would I knowingly or dang, I don't even know if I should say this. Like the only people who can really afford to even buy homes would just be corporations because they the only ones who could afford to take we just burnt our home down, that $3 million home. Let's reach into the other department and go. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. If you're in a position to help out, help in whatever capacity they may look like. At a minimum, make sure you check it. That's what I've been doing. Anybody I can think of that I know that's in California, I've just been calling, checking on them, or people that I'm talking to. I'm saying, hey, do you know anyone in California? So anything we can do to help, this is a humanity time, right? Because it can be any of us. So you would need if you needed help, you would want the help. This isn't a political time to be, doing that and blaming, president blaming the governor, but it's just not the time for that. Regardless on if you write or what have you, who cares? But we'll
Right.
keep paying attention to it and seeing what happens. But yeah, man, it's unfortunate.